Whoop, whoop. The webinar has started. What's going on, everyone? Hello. Welcome. We're going to get started in just a second. I like to give a couple minutes to just let people trickle in because, you can't start right at 11 o'clock. But good to see you all. Just Adam, Aaron, Alan, so many A's. Let's jump. We got to jump down. Who else is here? Jose, Lee, another Lee, Michael, Paul, Shane. What's going on, everyone? Good to see you all. We're going to get started again in just a moment. And yeah, it's a live chat. It is going off. My Zoom is freaking out. So, as we get, I'm going to do a little poll because we have the ability to do a little poll here, which could be fun. So I want to get this thing going, and this will just kind of, give us an idea of where everyone's coming from, what your software is, and we can talk a little bit more about certain softwares. If there's a lot of Reallusion people here, if there's a lot of Unreal people here, my guess is Unreal and Blender. Oh man, Unreal and Blender, neck and neck. Who's winning? It's Unreal. Unreal with 30%, 41%. Okay, Blender's coming back with 40%. Thanks everyone for filling that out. And if you've just joined, again, we're going to get started in 1 minute. I just like to let people trickle in a little bit. Looks like we got a lot of Unreal and Blender. We got some Unity love in the house. Go Unity. We got even some 3ds Max. Good on ya, 3ds Max. Love it. Just saw a really cool workflow for 3ds Max actually the other day. And then it looks like a lot of people have worked maybe with some Rokoko hardware, but then a lot of people have never worked with motion capture at all. And that's kind of course, who we're going to be thinking about most with this. Although we're going to get a little bit deep, we want this to be a good intro to Rokoko, to motion capture in general. And then we got thirds on seasoned pros, students, and newbies. So again, this should be good for everyone, hopefully. And I can see the chat going off again. Love it. Open chat. We've got some awesome Rokoko people behind the scenes who are going to be answering Q&As. We're going to be in the chat mixing it up with you. So please get into that chat. I really won't be able to see the chat that much as we get going, but we got Rokokians out there who should be participating. Okay, thanks for doing that poll. I'm going to end this poll because we're going to get started in a second. We'll give it another 2 minutes. I like to give it a second. I like to let people trickle in. And thank you. We got Caleb Chamberlain. We got Tom Wright in some of these renders that you're seeing on the side here. So just shout out to those guys. We have such a talented community. So we love seeing what you guys come up with. This is Caleb, I believe, or this side. Awesome short, Call of Duty short, I think. And yeah, even before we get started, I will say that we got some discounts for you today. We got some raffles. We got a bunch of raffles that are going to be happening just to show our appreciation for you guys coming out. So it's going to be fun. And then of course, we're going to be getting into our live demo. We are probably going to hop into Unreal, although we usually stick around after the webinar has kind of ended. And if there's people who want to see Blender, we can open up Blender. People who want to see, I probably can't open up 3ds Max. I don't think I have it installed, but we can mess around at the end of this and have some fun. And yeah, so we have a chat, but we also have a Q&A. So there's a Q&A down below, and I'm going to talk about this all again as we get started here in a second. But hello, everyone. Man, so good to see you. We got almost 700 people here. So awesome. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, so I think we'll kind of kick this thing off here. Let's get into it. Let's get going. Okay, so, welcome to this Rokoko hardware and software webinar. I'm Sam Lazarus. I'm the creative director for Rokoko. Thank you for being here. It's going to be a lot of fun today. We're going to be talking about all things Rokoko, but we're also going to get into some mocap workflows at the end of the webinar. As I said before, we're going to be jumping into Unreal. We might touch a little MetaHumans, play with some MetaHumans. And before I talk about what we're going to be covering in this webinar, I do want to shout out just right at the beginning, thank you all for coming. And we have these discounts that are going to be available for you all. $750 off the new full performance capture. So that's body, gloves, face capture, and the Coil Pro. And then 15% off the entire shop. And that is 5% more than, we normally do. You might see 10% around, but for our webinars, we like to give a little bit more. Use code VFX15 at the checkout. And again, it's limited. So, if you're looking to get into the Rokoko game and get some Rokoko motion capture, hopefully this webinar does a good job of showing you what Rokoko is capable of. We're going to be jumping into the suit, soup to nuts. We're going to go through the whole process. And then, these discounts are a great time to buy because it's the discount, right? And so it's a good opportunity if you've been kind of on the fence and looking for a reason to get into it. Okay. So again, before I talk about all the things that we're going to be covering, we have, as I said before, a Q&A button that should be in the bottom of your Zoom down below. Those questions are going to be, the live chat's a little bit crazy. We're in the live chat, but if you have specific workflow questions, specific questions about something you're seeing, put it in the Q&A, and either a Rokoko employee, one of our awesome team, will answer it right then and there, or they will highlight it and I'll be able to get to it at the end of the Q&A, assuming we have enough time. We're gonna have about an hour for this whole thing, and then I usually stick around for a little bit while longer if people want to hang out and have some fun. We got the discount. We're gonna be doing a bunch of raffles. We're gonna be giving out some Headrigs. We're going to be giving out some subscriptions for our AI solution. We're going to be giving out at the end of the webinar an entire full performance kit. So that's suit, gloves, face capture, the whole deal, and of course some t-shirts too. So stick around for those. Your name has been entered basically by being here, and we'll be doing little raffles throughout this webinar. And then my only other thing I'll say before we get started is I'm in a place with kind of Wi-Fi can be a little bit sketchy here, so there's a chance that I might drop off, in which case another Rokokian will hop on while I scramble and get back on here. So that's kind of my preamble. Rokokians, let me know if I'm forgetting anything, but I think with that, we can kind of get into it. So what are we going to be covering here today? So we're going to start off with a very brief, I like to keep it brief, introduction to the Rokoko ecosystem. That's our hardware, that's our software, that's our AI mocap. So we're going to talk about basically what we offer. Then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into Rokoko Vision and a new 2-camera workflow that we have that uses your iPhone, which is really nice because you don't need to go out and get webcams. We're going to be taking a little look at the Coil Pro. I'm going to be talking more about the Coil Pro. We're not going to be doing a live demo of the Coil Pro, but I'll be talking about what that is. And if you have never heard of the words Coil Pro before, you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's a new motion capture technology that we're releasing that's really exciting. We're going to talk briefly about AI mocap versus hardware mocap. This is a question we get all the time, and it's a super valid question. So I want to spend a little second on that. And then finally, we're going to get into the live demo, and that's going to kind of make up the majority of this webinar. I like to, it's great to be able to see things in a very raw way. I don't have the suit on right now. We're going to go from me not wearing the suit to putting the suit on, putting on the gloves, getting everything up and running in Rokoko Studio, and then hopping into Unreal and showing off our MetaHuman workflow a little bit, do some live streaming for some MetaHumans. And then at the end, again, we're going to get back into that Q&A. Put your Q&A questions down below in that Q&A little thing. And I just saw in the chat, I saw Kana name. Welcome, Kana. Welcome, Alberto, if you're here. Our amazing Discord mods. And I didn't mention it when everyone was trickling in, but let me go back to my trickle in page. I don't have it, but we have an amazing Discord. And also, if you are making motion capture things out there, tag us with Made with Rokoko, hashtag Made with Rokoko. We love to feature what the community is doing, so always make sure to do that. And yeah, so that's it. So without further ado, let's kind of get into the Rokoko ecosystem and just talking briefly about who we are, what we offer, And yeah, so starting off right at the bat, who are we? Rokoko. We are a motion capture hardware and software company. That means that we make mocap hardware, but we also have a bunch of software solutions, whether they're AI or whether they are based just on our proprietary software, Rokoko Studio, which is used to kind of interpret and record all the motion capture that you're making. However, our flagship product is the Rokoko Smartsuit Pro 2. You can see them. I've got one on my chair here. This is an inertial motion capture suit. And what that means is that it's got sensors that are distributed throughout the suit. Those sensors talk to your computer over Wi-Fi, which is very important. There's no cameras, right? There's no cables. And the advantage of inertial motion capture and kind of our entire philosophy when it comes to mocap is democratizing mocap, which sounds very corporate, or I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's I don't know what word I'm looking for, but we are democratizing mocap. We take that really seriously. When we are trying to solve motion capture solutions, we're trying to solve them for people who don't have $20,000 to spend on a mocap solution. We focus primarily on indie creators, and inertial motion capture, like the Rokoko Smartsuit Pro 2, is this fantastic combination of very high fidelity, which if you don't believe me, we're doing a live demo, but also keeps things affordable. It keeps things easy to use as an individual. So one person can operate this whole system in their bedroom, in their living room. And that's kind of our philosophy. And that's what, our flagship product, the Smartsuit Pro 2, tries to do. So next to the Smartsuit Pro 2 are our Smartgloves. We also offer these Smartgloves because hand and finger motion capture has so much emotion, and it plays such a huge part in getting good performances, from your actors or from yourself. And so we have our Smartgloves, which also actually use an EMF technology, which basically just means that, like the Coil, they're extra accurate. You can use the Smartgloves and hold metallic objects. You're not going to have any problems. And they work natively with your Smartsuit Pro, right? They plug right into the Smartsuit Pro and you're good to go. But you can also use them with other mocap systems. I've seen people use them with perception neuron systems, with XN systems, or even with optical systems as well. So the Smartgloves are fantastic, also super affordable, but kind of threading that line of affordable and accurate. Next up, we have a facial motion capture solution. So we have an app that works off of iPhones. It uses the Apple AR Kit, 52 blend shape kind of workflow to get facial motion capture. It's great. Again, it's natively integrated with the rest of your Rokoko mocap setup. So you can put on your gloves, you can put on your facial motion capture, you can put on your suit and hit record, and you have a unified recording, right, that integrates all of those different elements. And there are some new facial motion capture solutions out there like MetaHuman Animator. We're actually just releasing a new tutorial about how to use systems like MetaHuman Animator. But we have our own, facial motion capture system as well. And to go with that, we just released the new Headrig. This thing is amazing. It is a completely hardware agnostic, it's just a head mount for an iPhone. But because iPhones are basically the main prosumer way to capture facial motion capture, whether it's an iClone, whether it's MetaHuman Animator, all those things just run off of an iPhone. So even if you aren't using other Rokoko tools, this thing is absolutely incredible. There's nothing else as affordable as it and reliable as it on the market, in my opinion, by like several degrees. So this thing is great. Another piece of hardware to make some facial motion capture, whether it's with Rokoko or whether it's with some of those other systems. Next up, we're going to get into some software. So we got Rokoko Studio. So we have poured so much time and effort into our software, which we use to integrate all of the different, motion capture hardware pieces that we have, right? And also to make it easy to clean up your motion capture. So you can use Rokoko Studio. You can actually go and download Rokoko Studio for free right now from Rokoko.com. You can download it, sign in for free. We have sample projects that you can open up for free. You can export, you can do whatever you want with that mocap. which I find is, if you're curious about Rokoko and the workflow, go download Rokoko Studio, open it up and see what you think. And you can kind of get a feel for how it all works by yourself, again, for free, which I love, which we love. Next up on the software side, we have Rokoko Vision. This is our motion capture, our AI motion capture solution, right? So AI mocap, as opposed to mocap hardware, when you're talking about AI mocap, you're basically feeding in video that the AI is then taking in, it's processing, and it's spitting out a motion capture take. And there's pros and there's cons to this. But we have a completely free AI mocap solution that uses a single camera. But again, if you go download Rokoko Studio right now, you can go to vision.rokoko.com, boot up Rokoko Vision with your webcam, make some motion capture today, all for free, with a single camera. And then we have a new dual camera solution that is fantastic. It's much more stable because when you add two cameras, you have depth information. You can establish a better ground plane. You basically just get better motion capture, which shouldn't be a surprise. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. And we did release a tutorial recently that goes through a great iPhone-based workflow for dual camera. So you don't have to go out and buy webcams and buy extra cables to thread them throughout your room. You just set up your iPhone on a tripod. And finally, we have our new piece of motion capture hardware, the Coil Pro. Go check out our YouTube channel if you want to know more about the Coil Pro. But the Coil Pro is a standalone unit that creates an EMF bubble. It creates an EMF field, an electromagnetic field. And within that electromagnetic field that reaches about 5 meters, it can track in absolute position your smart gloves, which is really amazing. And it's a real contrast to how inertial motion capture works. Inertial motion capture with our suit, it's amazing. But there are kind of some inherent limitations to inertial motion capture. Basically, sometimes, if you try and clap with just the suit, your claps might be like this. They might not quite be hitting each other. The coil is going to solve a lot of those problems. And it's going to make also, multi-actor interaction where you have, an actor punching another actor and they stop it with their fist, and everything is going to be in the right spot. So the Coil Pro is a really exciting, completely fresh and new piece of motion capture technology that does not exist outside of the Coil Pro. Using EMF fields in this way, we're the first people to do it. And we're really close to launching that. So that's going to be coming out soon. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Coil Pro, as we get closer to launch. Okay, so next I just want to go through a little bit more about what Rokoko Vision is. And again, as I said before, Rokoko Vision is our 2-camera or single camera AI motion capture solution. You can find it at vision.rokoko.com. But you can see in this example here, this is me using an iPhone and using the webcam on my computer. And it gets this very stable result. Look, you can jump around, you can do all these different things, you can turn around, and it'll continue tracking you really well. And again, we have this new workflow with an iPhone, so you don't have to use webcams anymore. And this can be a great way to kind of start dipping your toes into motion capture, right? It doesn't require a suit. And at the same time, you can integrate the motion capture you get from Rokoko Vision with the other Rokoko products. Especially in the future, we're going to be working on adding in, gloves with your Rokoko Vision recordings, or face capture with your Rokoko Vision recordings, both of which are really traditionally difficult to get for AI motion capture. AI motion capture is pretty good at getting your body, especially if you have a background that is different from, your silhouette, and so you stand out against the background. But no matter how good your cameras are, you're gonna get problems with occlusion when there's times the camera can't see your hands, right? Or your face is moving too quickly. And so our goal is to integrate some of the Rokoko Vision technology with some of our hardware technology to kind of have this synthesis between a low effort way to get body motion capture, and then combine that with reliable hand and face motion capture. And that kind of, I think, is a good encapsulation of where we're going with Rokoko and the whole idea, which is that now we have a bunch of different technologies that all do, that are all different ways of making motion capture. You've got inertial motion capture, we've got EMF motion capture, we've got AI motion capture. And as we continue to develop all these different lanes, the goal is that, everyone's workflow is different, and what works for you might not work for another CG professional. And by having these different options, you can go in and you can pick and choose the things that you need for your workflow, but they're all going to be working together in this unified Rokoko ecosystem in Rokoko Studio, right? So that's kind of the vision, if you will pardon the pun, for Rokoko moving forward, right? We want to support all different types of people who are making different types of motion capture, because everyone's situation is different. If you only have access to a small little bedroom, maybe you don't have room for AI mocap. If you have access to a big studio and you can set up cameras and have them standing there all the time, then maybe AI is good for you. So again, we kind of have tried to build up this ecosystem of different motion capture solutions where people can pick and choose. And that's kind of the way that we've approached it. Okay, so we've already made it to our first raffle. I told you we're going to be doing tons of raffles. We got the discount at the beginning of the video, and we're going to be flashing back to that discount. It's VFX15 at Rokoko.com. But for our first raffle, which is 3 Rokoko Plus subscriptions, which includes 2 camera, vision, AI motion capture for a year. The winners are Tito Araujo. Oh, I'm going to butcher some names, but we're going to email you as well. Miranda Palmisano and Sasha Newkochner, I think German. I don't know. I'm so sorry. But congratulations to you 3. We're going to be having more raffles as we keep going through. So, keep tuned. And we're going to be giving away some of these guys next. But, congrats. Always feels good to give away some free stuff. So yeah. Okay. So again, we are going to be getting into a live demo momentarily. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit more about the Coil Pro, because it is kind of it's the exciting new, kid on the block for us. And here you can see that this is a really great example of the problems that the Coil Pro is going to be solving. You can see here we have interaction that is super accurate between 2 actors. And that's something that with inertial motion capture, you can absolutely hop in a Smartsuit Pro 2, get 2 actors in Smartsuit Pro 2s and record their data, and they can interact with each other. But you're just going to have to go in and you're going to have to do some editing to make sure that they're in the right spot, to make sure those hands are connecting. If they're, doing kung fu against each other, you're going to have to do more editing, which is also a standard part of motion capture. But wouldn't it be nice if multi-actor interaction was more accurate? Oop, sorry everyone. Let me set this to loop. We don't just have black space there. But yeah, again, here we have 2 actors interacting, and you can see the little Coil Pro here in our scene. And this is just one example of a lot of workflows that the Coil Pro is going to be solving. We're going to be putting out a bunch more Coil Pro content in the next few weeks, again, as we get closer to shipping these guys off. And I will say that, if you are interested in the Coil Pro, any new orders for the Coil Pro will start shipping in January or by the end of January. But we have seen a bunch of interest in them, so they are going fast. We are limited in how many we can manufacture, in a given period of time. So if you want to get your hands on a Coil Pro, jump on it, because the next batch will be, I don't know, in March or later in 2024. I'm not sure yet. So, yeah, so this is, again, I'm just happy that we get to show off, a little bit of some Coil Pro. We wanted to do a Coil Pro demo today, but I have so many kind of things happening here that it didn't really make sense, and we don't want to show it off in a way where I'm scrambling to show it. And so, again, we're going to be having lots more YouTube content coming out with the Coil Pro. And here you can see you can also do gloves standalone with the Coil Pro, which is awesome. And here I'm playing with this gun right here, this little Nerf gun. And you can see here, let me go back for a second here. I want to show this off again because this blows my mind. You know, you can see that when I do this, my hands are just in the right spot. And that is, it might not seem like it's really amazing, especially if you're new to motion capture, but to be able to have this kind of fidelity is going to be a game changer for a lot of different workflows, whether it's live performance. You know, if you are a live drummer and, you know, for the concert, they want to put gloves on you and have this digital drummer. With inertial motion capture, you could get close, but with the coil, you'll actually be like hitting the correct drums. You know, you can be playing the piano and it's accurate down to the centimeter or the half centimeter. So you can get these really accurate, really high fidelity recreations of your movements in a way that just wasn't possible before. And I will also say that the Coil Pro, it doesn't suffer from like occlusion, and it also doesn't have a minimum viable space. You know, when it comes to AI motion capture, and actually let's jump into my next little slide here, because I think, again, we're gonna get to the live demo in a second, but this is something that we get questions about all the time. There are some amazing new AI motion capture companies out there, and I really hate it when companies dog on each other. Move.ai, Wonder Studio, they're great, you know, they do their thing awesomely. But any mocap workflow is going to have limitations. And so it's important that I think people understand that those new AI solutions, they can be really fantastic, but they also have their limitations. You know, when it comes to AI, you need a lot of space. You can't use wide angle lenses. You need to use more linear lenses. So that means that you need a lens that is, you know, 24 millimeter or something, at least, you know, in my experience. That means that you got to put those cameras pretty far away. And it also means that if you have a limited volume, which those cameras create, so that, you know, there's a limit on how big you can get, you know, with your motion capture. You can't run out of that volume the same way you can with inertial motion capture. And if you are in a tiny bedroom, you know, even in the office that I have here, which is like bigger than my home office, I'm with family right now, and this office is big, but if I set up AI mocap in here, I don't think I could, right? There's just not enough space. So you know, space can be a limitation with AI mocap. You need a lot of it. Finickiness can be a problem with AI mocap. You know, when it comes to Move.ai, again, like I've seen some Move.ai stuff that blows my mind. It's so awesome. But I've also seen that when you have 8 cameras in a circle, you have 8 points of failure now. So now you have like one GoPro dies. Okay, fix that battery. Like another you know, the iPhone disconnected. Okay, go fix that. It can be frustrating to work with that sort of system as an individual contributor. That being said, it can be super accurate. So all this always comes down to a give and take with what you are, you know, what your budget is. A lot of AI mocap, especially those bigger Move solutions, for instance, we're talking, you know, $8,000 all in or something. Bunch of different iPhones or GoPros, so it can be more expensive. You're limited. AI motion capture is all cloud processing, so usually there's a cap on how much mocap you can do a month. So you might be locked into like 6 minutes of mocap a month, and you have to start buying extra minutes. With our system, right, your unlimited motion capture, you can actually hop onto Rokoko Vision single camera right now and create as many hours of motion capture as you want for free. So my point is, I think, you know, the big AI mocap versus the hardware mocap argument that's kind of playing out in every mocap video that I see online, there is no perfect solution, right? Rokoko is not a perfect solution. Move is not a perfect solution. Wonder is not a perfect solution. You kind of have to evaluate the limitations that are inherent to each type of motion capture, and then you have to make a decision for what's best for you. And for me, I love what we get with Rokoko, and the limitations are things that I can live with. Okay, I think that goes through my whole talking spiel. And at this point, we can kind of hop on and actually make some motion capture. So let's do it. Let's get to it. And I'll say again, if you have questions, put them down in the Q&A below. We have Rokoko team members who are answering them, and I'm also going to be answering them at the end. But let's get into it. Okay, so as you can hopefully see here, this is Rokoko Studio. I've got it open behind me, and I'm going to hop into my Rokoko Smartsuit Pro 2 and get my chair out of here. And I used to start these webinars in my Mocap suit. I like to hop into it from scratch now, because another thing that I love about Rokoko is, you know, how quickly I can go from like, oh, I had an idea. Okay, the samurai picks up the apple and then he like slices it. A couple minutes later, I can be making that motion capture. So somebody start the clock. Here, I'm gonna time myself. We're gonna see how long it takes me. Let's do it. Let's do this live, baby. We'll see how long it takes me to get in my suit and connected to Rokoko Studio. And of course, maybe something will go terribly wrong because we're live, but that's the way live goes. Okay, start. So this usually takes me about a minute. You know, some people sit down. You can also put on the suit over your clothes. I just like to usually, you know, I'm wearing a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. I find it just gets less bunchy underneath my suit. A lot of people used to ask, you know, why don't you guys just have straps? Why do you have this big suit? Well, besides the fact that it makes you feel like a cyber ninja, which is really awesome, straps can get really tangly. And so we like to have everything contained in a suit where you put it on and you're not going to have to, like, when you throw it in your bag, it's not going to get all tangled up, right? So we like the suit, and also it makes you feel cool, unless you're picking up the mail from the mailman, which has happened to me many times at this point. So I put on my gloves. You can see I kind of rolled up my sleeves to put on my gloves. Just hit the minute mark. Oh my God, I'm behind. Usually takes me about a minute to hop into the suit. I've already set up my suit to my Wi-Fi network. So I just have to plug in my battery, and basically our suit is just gonna pop up in the scene. The suit, yeah, look at this. There we go. So, okay, that took me a minute 20, or minute 29 seconds. It's pretty good, in my opinion. We're in, right? Where it's all working, except it looks super funky. Okay, so why does this look so weird? Well, this is basically the raw data. And what we need to do is add in our actor profile. So an actor profile is just an individual profile that we do. It has your height, and it has some measurements like your arm span, things like this. You don't actually need to fill out all these things. We do recommend filling out arm span, hand width and length, and height, but you can get away with just your height. And then as soon as we pair our suit to our actor profile, looks a little bit less funky. Ooh, I forgot one crucial thing. I forgot my headband. Let's put on my headband for my head sensor too. And here's a sensor. You can see one of the sensors right here. This is all it is. It's these sensors that are on Velcro inside your suit. And you can actually pull all the sensors out of the suit if you want to wash the suit, if you want to throw the sensors in another sized textile. There we go. All my sensors are on. And now I just need to do a 3-second calibration, which I can actually modify the timing if I don't like 3 seconds, but I like 3 seconds. Do a straight pose. 3 seconds later. Woo! Looking good, and that's it. So I stopped the timer, but I don't know, 2 minutes, right? And this is a really big advantage of Rokoko. This is one of the things I love about Rokoko, right? I'm an individual. I did not have to set up a ton of tripods, right? I just had to get my suit. If I'm traveling, right, I just have a garment case that I throw my suit in. I throw my offline Wi-Fi router in, and I can throw this thing on in like under a couple minutes and be making, you know, my samurai motion capture that I was just talking about. And you might see, you know, as we get into it, you're going to see some weirdness with my legs maybe as I keep going. You might see drifting with my legs, and that's because we do a lot of processing on recorded clips to kind of get the best motion capture out of the suit, right? Because again, this is inertial motion capture. And as I said before, what that means is we've got sensors that are distributed throughout the suit, right? Make this look as cool as possible. And those sensors, they don't know where they are in space. All they know is how they're rotating, right? It's kind of like the accelerometer in your phone. And so if all the sensors only know how they're rotating, we need to do some processing on the back end. And we're doing a good job in real time, right? If you're a VTuber, especially if you're a VTuber, we can even do something where we'll turn on treadmill mode. And now no matter how I walk, I'm just going to be stuck in the middle of the scene. I'm never going to drift away. So if I'm a VTuber behind a desk, right, I can turn on treadmill mode and I'm just going to stay in the same spot. Let's turn it off now. But once we do a recording, and we'll do one in a second actually, and I'll show you how Rokoko Studio, it basically takes the foot contacts that it can sense in your animation, and then we're reconstructing the motion that is happening. Because again, the sensors only know how they're rotating, but we know where each sensor is, and we know how a human body should work, and therefore we can kind of piece together the data to give you this, human performance here, right? And again, let me just look at these gloves. They look so good. They're so reliable. Another thing I love about inertial motion capture, as we've said before, the big difference between AI mocap and some of the other mocap types, occlusion. Occlusion is when your limbs pass out of view of the camera, or they get obscured, or the camera can't see your limbs. That is not a problem with inertial motion capture. You can see, I can hide. Here, I'll put my hands under my desk. Like, we're gonna keep picking up our data no matter what, even if, we're in a dark room, even if we have to hide the suit under clothing. So it can be just, it's very reliable. And then what is the disadvantage of inertial motion capture? Well, it's this. Look at my clapping. It's not 100%. Like, that is a limitation of Rokoko. It's not a huge limitation because for most things, it really doesn't usually matter. And the other thing is, the goal with motion capture is never to get to 100%. That's not possible. In Marvel movies, when you've got a $100 million motion capture stage and you're recording Josh Brolin for Thanos, that mocap has to be edited so much afterwards. And that's because when you retarget your motion capture to a character, that character will inevitably have different sized limbs than you. They'll have different proportions. And that means that even if my mocap was like 1,000% perfect here, well, Thanos's arms, they have an extra 2 feet on them. So when I retarget my mocap, it's gonna be like this, except my arms are now gonna be here. So there's always an element to mocap editing, especially when it comes to AAA mocap. And our goal is never to get it to 100%. It's to get it to 85 to 95% of the way there, right? Where, hey, if it's for a social post, maybe you don't need to do any editing. But if it is for a AAA project, you're gonna have to go in no matter what, and we're gonna get you close enough, and we're gonna do enough cleanup on the foot contacts and things like that in Rokoko Studio that it's gonna be manageable for you to do. So that's kind of how I look at all of that. And I will mention, of course, I'm not using the Coil right now. So this is just the Smartsuit Pro 2. This is just over Wi-Fi. No Coil, no cameras, this is just Smartsuit Pro 2. And we have added a lot of firmware updates, in the last year that have made the Smartsuit Pro 2 even better. Now you can import characters. But let's get all that to that in a second. Let me actually record something. Let me jump around a little bit, and I'll show you how this workflow works, right? Okay. So I'm gonna hit record and let's, I'll try something. Oh God, put me on the spot. Looking so cool, I'm sure. So, okay, so we just recorded a clip. Now let's go ahead and open that up and I'll show you what it looks like. So So right off the bat, you can see that we've got all these bars down here at the bottom. And these are essentially a visualization of your foot contact with the ground. So let's play through this and see what we got right off the bat. Oftentimes, my initial recording, I might have to go in and do 30 seconds of cleanup at this stage. But what's so great about that actually is that I don't have to do that in Blender. I don't have to do that in Unreal. I can do that right here with these like bright colored keyframes that are big and blocky that make it a lot easier for me to go in and clean up motion capture. So let's do a little cleanup on this for a second. And you can see right here, we got our green bars represent our green, our left foot. Right here, we can visualize in the scene, our motion capture. And then blue is our right foot. And this jump, like this looks awesome, right? That I wouldn't normally edit this, but let me show you what it would look like if I drag out that left foot. And so now Rokoko Studio is like, okay, this left foot is on the ground until this keyframe ends. And let's play this back again. Doesn't look good, right? So when we are doing mocap editing in Rokoko Studio, we're going through and we're making sure that the computer, see right here, my right foot should be on the ground. We need to go in and tell Rokoko Studio, hey, this is how it actually should be. Boom. And we can do a little bit of cleanup like that. And sometimes we get some wonkiness, so we can just remove some segments. And there we go. I usually go and I clean up all these little guys right here because these are probably, Rokoko Studio has mistakenly thought that my foot grazed the ground when it didn't. But yeah, I mean, this looks great, right? And again, remember, I was not in a suit like 10 minutes ago. This is all completely new. See, we can do some editing here, fix some of this foot stuff. And then if we do ever have problems, you can see maybe we got some wonkiness right here. Actually, it looks like my foot. I think I would have to go in and spend a little more time here cleaning this up, which I'm not going to do right now. But I could also just go and like re-record it in a second, right? And so I can just keep moving and just make motion capture really quickly with this system. Okay, I'm going to try and keep moving because we've already used up a bunch of time. So next, let's add some facial motion capture into the mix, right? So here, I'm going to take off my beanie. Got to abandon my beanie. Throw this guy on. There's an awesome clamp in the back that basically means that you can just clamp it down to your head. And, while you can absolutely get a bicycle helmet, get a selfie stick, like try to jury rig together a facial motion capture helmet, it's really nice to have like a professional system here that looks good, that works really well, and is easy to kind of put on and is reliable. So I'm gonna open up our Rokoko app here on my phone. Boop. And I need to make sure my phone is on the same Wi-Fi network as the rest of my system. Open up our Rokoko face capture. Slot my phone in. Boom. You can see as soon as I opened up my app, what popped up here? Little iPhone. I'm gonna hit connect. I get a little prompt on my iPhone, and this looks bizarre, obviously, but if I add our face capture, there we go. And I can do another calibration. Because I moved my head sensor when I put on my my facial mocap. And now we have full performance capture, right? This is what we call full performance capture. So this is face, body, and hands all working together. If I zoom in on this guy a little bit, this is great. You can get some really evocative performances out of this facial motion capture, even though this is it's not the low end. Well, maybe it is I guess it's the low end of facial motion capture, but it's accessible. Everyone has an iPhone, right? And iPhones are equipped with these true depth cameras in the front that mean that they can be used for facial motion capture, right? And that's why Reallusion uses the same system. Unreal uses the same system, right? All of them piggyback off this proprietary technology that Apple bought for Memojis, if you remember them. I still use them all the time. And that is how we get this facial motion capture. So it's not the little dots, you're not going to get that quality that you get maybe on a Hollywood movie, but that's also not going to require millions of, this doesn't require millions of dollars and days of processing time, right? And it looks pretty darn great. And we can use this system to drive a MetaHuman in Unreal or in Character Creator or whatever it is. Okay, so at this point, maybe now that I've thrown on this Headrig, let's do a little raffle for our Headrig. So we're going to be giving out 2 of these guys, which will also include 2 face captures of subscription. So you'll be able to use this and face capture for the next year. And man, I love these things. So, okay, who are our winners? I'm going to jump back and let's announce it with my face capture that I have going. The winners are, we got David Kahn. We got David Kahn. And we got Jenny Cornelia Nyborg, A. Nyborg. Congratulations to you guys. We're going to be sending you emails again with information on how we're going to get these to you. But yeah, congrats. Thanks for attending. And we're going to jump into Unreal really quickly. And then we'll be giving out our entire full performance capture set raffle after that. So stick around for a couple more minutes and we'll get into the lucky winner for the whole shebang. Okay, man, I kind of want to jump into the Q&A now, but I won't. We're going to leave that, but I'm sure that there are lots of questions. And if you have them, put them in the Q&A button that's down below. We got our Rokoko team answering things. Before I jump actually into Unreal, I want to show off one other thing that we've done in Rokoko Studio. So we have gone and added the ability to load in characters and do live retargeting to characters. And so you can't do any sort of character. It has to be kind of a standard character. And by that, we mean like Mixamo, Character Creator, Unreal characters. They should all work. But here I have a character that I just rigged on Mixamo. If I drag this character, look at this. We can adjust. This character is a little bit off the ground. It is not equipped with facial mocap, so it's not going to be having facial mocap, but look at that. So awesome that you can do this in Rokoko Studio. And retargeting, which is the process of copying your animation from your mocap to your characters, it's a whole thing. It's not super difficult, but it is a process, and it's a different process for every software. And it's really nice to be able to bring in a Mixamo character. If I have a Spider-Man animation, for Instagram for Spider-Man Day, I can go rig my Spider-Man on Mixamo, download it as a T-pose, do my animation, and then export the animation out on the character. And even better, we have some pose adjustments that we can do here as well. So a common thing with mocap is you'll get clipping issues, right? So my hands are at my side. On my avatar, it looks pretty good, but you can see on the character, it's clipping through the hips. Maybe you got a big grizzly bear character. He's got a big old belly. You're gonna have clipping issues. But what we can do is adjust the arm, and then check out my arm here. We can kind of go in and do some tweaks. I can change the height of my shoulders. I can shift them a little bit. And now we have, right, my hands at the side again, but I'm not clipping. So all of these tools we've kind of kept adding into Rokoko Studio. Rokoko Studio is very much a constantly evolving thing. And we're going to continue to make it better. We're going to continue to make those integrations between all the different types of motion capture better, right? When we add real-time AI mocap, you'll be able to connect your gloves to it. You'll be able to connect reliable face capture to that. And that is why I think when you're looking at the mocap field, it's really more about like you're picking a software, you're picking a workflow. And our workflow is very much continuing to evolve, and we're continuing to add things to it. So buying into the Rokoko ecosystem, to me, makes a lot of sense because it's not a static thing, right? It's going to continue to get better. Okay, let's open up Unreal. Whoop, sorry. And then here, I'm going to take this off actually for a second.
Oh.
And I'm going to disconnect the face capture from my character. Let's go down and unpair live input, face capture. Don't need that guy. And we're going to open up Unreal, and I'm just going to show you quickly some MetaHuman live streaming. How's my hair? Oh, yeah, look at that guy. Doing his own thing. Get after it, buddy. That's why I'm always wearing a beanie in part, is, you know, just got to keep that hair under control. Got to hide my headband, as cool and sexy as a headband is. You know, beanie kind of makes it look a little bit better. Okay. I got my MetaHuman. Where are we? Which one are we opening up? We're opening up this guy, MetaHuman workflow. And again, we're gonna do some Unreal. Then I'm just gonna stick around and we're gonna answer Q&A questions. If you guys are want to stick around, and we're gonna talk about specific workflow things, and we can get into other programs if we want. But I think Unreal obviously is a natural one to show because Unreal is free, at least for now. I know that there's some pricing changes that might be coming. It looks like I need to do another calibration. Let's do another calibration here. But it's also great, obviously it's incredible for game development, but it's also great for just creating visual effects films and short films or commercials and things like that. And we've seen that more and more with Unreal as more people jump on. There's also such a great community for Unreal that just makes it, there's a lot of tutorials out there, so it's great for beginners. Okay, so here I have a MetaHuman. We are releasing a big Unreal retargeting tutorial and separate MetaHuman tutorial that goes through our workflows for how to use MetaHumans, how to do retargeting in Unreal. We have workflow videos about how to do retargeting in Cinema 4D and Blender and Maya on our YouTube channel. We've taken a lot of pride in our YouTube channel, trying to one could argue our job kind of stops at getting you the mocap, but in our opinion, it's like, well, you got the mocap, let's also help you figure out how to get it onto your characters. So I'm going to turn on some live streaming. So we have live streaming plugins to all the big major softwares. You can see them here. Maya, we got some Unity, we got Cinema, we got Blender. Where's my Blender? There's my Blender guy right there. I'm going to detach my character, and I'm going to hide her for now. I'm going to add my face capture back in. And now if we go to Unreal, because we turned on our live streaming here, choop, choop, choop. So we're live streaming to Unreal in the background. I'm going to go look for my studio source. Look, Sam body, Sam face shows up. And then I just need to click my MetaHuman, assign the face, hit my AR kit face there, and hold on. It looks like maybe I'll need to do some live. Let's get this guy back on here. Hey, look, I'm back. Looking good. You know what I might do when you are having problems with MetaHumans. MetaHumans can be pretty finicky. So let me just delete that guy. We're gonna add in face. And then we should be getting our body in real time. Let me open this up and make sure. Okay. You can see that we're connected. Everything is working. We got our body linked up to our MetaHuman in real time. But sometimes we need to go in and it can be a little finicky. And of course I'm live, so it's choosing to be weird right now. But let's go in, let's assign our body. This sometimes can screw things up. What's gonna happen? Yep. Being weird. Can we update this in editor? Hold on. Oh, silly me. I gotta use the right animation blueprint. Okay, there we go. Of course. You know, just live streaming loves to give me a heart attack every time. But here we go. Here we are, live streaming to our MetaHuman in real time. It's a little bit laggy, mainly because I've got OBS and Zoom and like a bunch of other programs open. So usually when I'm doing this, you know, you can get something that's closer to the 1-to-1. I mean, it looks pretty good, but it would be real time, right? You absolutely can get real time feedback for your MetaHuman. Which is amazing because MetaHumans are pretty heavy character models and we can still get this performance. And of course we could do this with a custom character that we had. But yeah. Yo! Shaka brah! Hey there. Awesome. Love it. And you can see I've been doing calibrations as we've been going. I could do another calibration right here because it looks a little bit off. I guess I'm looking in like the wrong direction. But calibration, you know, that's something that typically we try to do every 10 to 15 minutes. So that's something that you have to think about if you're live streaming, because that is an inherent limitation of inertial motion capture, is you get drift over time, especially over long periods of time. And this is another thing that the coil is going to essentially solve, right? It's going to fix any of these drift problems because it knows exactly where in space your gloves are. It knows where your body can be then. It can, you know, understand where your body is relative to where your gloves are. And it can prevent, you know, any of that drift. So there we go. Okay, let's do our final raffle. And then maybe we'll get into doing some Q&A. And yeah, thanks everyone for sticking around. I know, have I gone slightly over? I can't see my time anymore, but I think I have. So thank you everyone for sticking around for this webinar. And let's go and do our final raffle. Okay, so this is going to be for, and I'm going to do it. Let me do a calibration before we get into this. Come on. So that's what happened. Yeah, basically when I put the head cam back on, it moved the position of my head sensor because, you know, I put on my head cam. And anytime you move a sensor, you know, this is why we have Velcro straps to strap down all the sensors. We don't want them moving because everything is relative to the initial position of those sensors, right? So every time I like move a sensor, if I put this Headrig on and it moves my head sensor, then I've got to go in and do another calibration. And that's why let's go back to Unreal now. And yeah, now I'm looking right in the right spot. Okay, let's do it here. Okay. So the winner of our full performance capture system with 1 annual plus subscription as well. So you're getting the Smartsuit Pro 2, you're getting gloves, you're getting our Headrig, you're getting the subscription. Congratulations to Steve Radford. Steve Radford. Congrats, man. Yeah, we'll be getting in touch, you know, over email to figure out how to get you all this gear. But, you know, this is a great reason to come to our webinars. We give out these discounts. We like to do raffles, and it's just a great time. You know, it's why I always say keep your eyes, like, give us a follow, you know, and like keep your eyes peeled because we do these things all the time. We're going to do an animation contest in the next few months, which I'm so excited about. our senior producer, Nicholas Warner, came up with a great idea. I think Nicholas came up with it. I'm sorry if I'm attributing that wrong. But a great idea for our new user contest, which is open to everyone. You don't have to have Rokoko gear to participate, right? You can use free AI our free AI mocap, or we're gonna have there's free mocap on our site actually on the free resources page you can download. But yeah, congratulations, Steve Radford. And then also we're gonna give away 2 Rokoko t-shirts, and those are going to, you gotta kind of watch yourself with these. This is quite compact compared to some of the other solutions, but you still have to watch out, not hit a microphone in front of you. Our Rokoko t-shirt raffles, the lucky winners are Maria Onsen and Ali Shirzad. Congratulations to you two. We're going to be sending you some Rokoko t-shirts, which I love these things. They're so cool looking. So some merch, congrats. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Okay. So that pretty much concludes that, but I'm going to be sticking around. We got Q&A now. We're going to go through questions that you guys have had, and let's get into it a little bit here. So I'm going to move my Zoom, and Rokokians, let me know if I'm missing out on anything. Thank you, everyone. I can finally take a look at the chat a little bit, and thanks for coming. I love doing these things. They're so fun. You can see the material in the MetaHuman is not double-sided, or there's something weird in there. Oh, very creepy. Okay, let's get into some of these Q&As. And again, I'm seeing lots of things coming from the chat, but I cannot read the chat. It's going too fast. So if you have a question, I'm going to try to get to them in the Q&A. And I'm just going to start going into these things. Okay. So what do we got? Setting up custom settings for a live person heights is not giving accurate results. The hands and the body don't align properly. That could be a Wi-Fi issue too, maybe, if you're getting bad performance. So I'd make sure that you're using, we got an autosave. Make sure that you're using a dedicated Wi-Fi router. That's super important. And if the hands and the body don't align properly, like this is typical. That's what you should be getting. Which is not perfect. This is inertial motion capture. It's an inherent limitation to inertial mocap. When I touch my head, this actually looks pretty good, but I wouldn't expect it to be perfect because the character, because that's inertial motion capture, right? It's not going to be perfect. It's a reconstruction of your movement. So make sure you have a good dedicated Wi-Fi router. Try it in another place. We've done a ton of work to mitigate any magnetic interference problems. It really doesn't show up a lot anymore. But that being said, if you're in a building with concrete floors with iron superstructure running through the floors that you're stepping on and in the walls, it might be that you're in a location that can't, that is gonna give you funky results. And that's, again, it's just another inherent limitation to inertial motion capture. But one way to be sure is test the suit in another location, make sure you have a dedicated Wi-Fi router, and then beyond that, get in touch with support@rokoko.com. We're always happy to try and help out. Silly question, from Orlando, is there a good workflow solution for MetaHuman's Rokoko Marvelous Designer? Probably. You would have to involve another program, because what you would want to do is export out your MetaHuman mesh to Blender, do your mocap retargeting in Blender, then export out your Alembic to Marvelous, and at that point, you should be able to combine everything in Unreal. But you can't. Unreal is the way that I think about all this is that Unreal is a stage. Unreal is a theater. You bring the props to the theater, you bring the actors and the costumes and the set dressings to the theater. That's where you do your lighting. That's where you do your atmosphere. That's where you arrange everything, is in the theater. But you don't make the costumes on the stage, right? And Unreal is really a stage. It is a place to show things or do game development, obviously. But it's not good at making all of those assets. And I don't know if it's weird for me to have this iPhone in front of my face, but hopefully it looks okay. So I would look up, check YouTube. There probably is a good workflow, but it's going to involve Cinema or Blender or Maya or something like that. How do you make your mocap loopable in the new Rokoko Studio? Currently, we do not have that feature. It was an old feature in the old Rokoko Studio. It's one of the most highly requested features. We are working on adding it back in. If you go to rokoko.com, we actually have you go to community help, and I'm not going to go there, but if you type in, you go to rokoko.com and go to the help page, you can find an ideas board where you can submit ideas or upvote features that you want to see. And you can also see what our dev team is working on currently. And maybe we'll put that in the description below, maybe of this YouTube video that we're gonna, this is all gonna be available as a YouTube video. Okay, so yeah, it's coming. But currently there's no solution. You got to do it in Blender. You got to do it in Cinema, which you can do, right? You just got to do it you got to blend the end of the animation to the beginning. Okay. Do I have to buy a Smartsuit Pro if I'm using iClone? Smart Studio Pro. So Rokoko Studio is, I see. Yes, you do need a Plus subscription if you want to live stream. So if you want to live stream, this is for George Yu. If you want to live stream into Reallusion, which I'm assuming you do because you're talking about the Rokoko profile, then you need a Plus subscription for Rokoko to access any of that live streaming. But you can do retargeting for free. I have a workflow that's on YouTube about it. You just drag the exported mocap into your Reallusion onto your character and it all just works. But yes, Rokoko Studio is free, but live streaming requires a Plus subscription. Brandon Porter, my system is in my home office where I do my calibration, but I perform in an open space just outside my office. Here's what you should do, I would say, Brandon, is, and basically you're asking, is there a way to reset the origin after recording? I don't think there's a way to reset the origin, but what you could do is you can set in Rokoko Studio, let's go back to Rokoko Studio. If you go up to Studio Settings, there is this calibration countdown and recording countdown. You could expand these out, so it's like 10 seconds or whatever. Go do your calibration in the same spot that you're doing your recording, and then set a recording countdown as well, right? So just set it to 5 seconds, and you'll hit record and go to your spot that you're recording. And you do the same thing for calibration, and that will put you in the same spot when you start, in theory. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, what else do we got? Curious to see the Unreal Engine workflow in iClone 8. Will there be a live link feature? I don't know. I think there is a good connection between those two. I think that might be more of a Reallusion question, though. Oh, been trying to plug the face capture live stream into MetaHuman and Maya, which has the 52 blend shapes. So I bet it has the 52 blend shapes, but the new MetaHumans, they do not have ARKit named blend shapes. There's a bunch of extra prefix on those blend shapes. And so the blend shape names, this is from Pius, the blend shape names need to be the ARKit blend shapes. And MetaHumans no longer have. They have the ARKit blend shapes. You can see we're driving them right now, but they're not named jaw open. It's named like MH normal _ jaw open. And so those blend shape names, they have to match. That's, I bet, what the problem is, especially if they're new MetaHumans. I want to choreograph a group of 20 MetaHuman dancers to follow the same routine but have slight variations in moves and timing. Yes, absolutely. This is from Peter Bailey. We are releasing a tutorial on how to do really easy retargeting to MetaHumans in Unreal using Sequencer. And what I would do is I'd take the same animation, and then in Sequencer, I would just move it slightly for each MetaHuman. And so they wouldn't be in lockstep, right? You'd have one going like this, and then a second later, the next, the other MetaHuman would be a little delayed. From James, my first question didn't get answered. Is it possible to clap your hands with Rokoko suit? Mine doesn't really track well when the hands approach each other. No, you can clap, but this is inertial motion capture. It's an inherent limitation. Look at this. My hands are not together. That's inertial mocap. Your hands likely wouldn't have been together. Like, editing will be required for digital interaction usually. It's a limitation of the suit. It's just the way it is. There's things you can do to mitigate it. You can put in your arm span measurements in Rokoko Studio. That will help a lot. You can do a calibration. It'll be more accurate right after a calibration than 10 minutes after. But this is what the coil is going to solve, right? When I clap with the coil, my hands are together. And I can do that sort of thing, and it looks right? So that's a coil solution, thankfully. Do you see, from Benjamin Priddle, do you see your AI capture solution developing into a real-time solution in the future? Yeah, baby, it's coming. We're working on it. Real-time is coming, and when it's real-time, hopefully, and even not real-time actually, we want to be able to integrate gloves and face capture into AI mocap. So that's all coming. Okay, Luigi, with the Coil Pro, can I have precise contact with other parts of my body? Yes and no. It depends on how accurate your actor measurements were. But regardless, I think what's always really important is that there is no 100% mocap, right? As I was saying before, because your character proportions are going to be different. So look at this. Hands are clipping real bad into my MetaHuman, because my MetaHuman, they're going to be clipping less bad here, because my MetaHuman has different proportions. So you'll have more precise and more accurate recordings of where your hands are in space. So it will be more accurate motion capture, but that doesn't mean that you're never going to have to do editing again, especially when it comes to digital interaction. If you're scratching your face, I mean, this looks pretty darn good, but you're going to have to go in and make sure the hand actually touches the head. This actually looks quite good, but yeah. Can you use the Coil Pro and gloves together with camera AI mocap? That's the goal, right? That's the goal. It's not going to be possible soon. We're just trying to get the Coil Pro out the door right now, but eventually, yeah, that's the idea. And then also for the Coil Pro, we're going to be adding in standalone trackers at a certain point. And so those you'll be able to put onto props. So that's going to be really exciting too, at a certain point. Okay. Hi, about Unity in real time from Jose. There is some drifting and there is a project. Interesting. We need to put out a new Unity tutorial. Apologies. There will be drifting. For your question about there's drifting, there's going to be drifting in real time. Rokoko will drift. If you do a recording, those foot contact keyframes are going to prevent drifting. But if you are live, there's going to be drift over time. That's inertial motion capture. That's the way it is. So what you could do though, if you have to stream into Unreal or Unity for whatever reason, you can always stream in pre-recorded animations. This is the animation we did earlier. Now it's streaming in. So you can record your mocap in Rokoko Studio and then live stream that into Unity, and maybe that will help out. I'm not sure. Hope maybe that helped. How are we doing here? 12:15. We got time, baby. And whenever I mess with my my Headrig, I gotta go in and re-enable it whenever I go out of the app. There we go. Back up. Okay, from Peter Bailey. Oh, actually from Kalash first. S. Does better video quality give better result for the video, or is it virtually the same between 1080 and 4K? Lighting matters more than video quality, I would say, when it comes to AI mocap. So if you have bad lighting in a 4K video, it won't matter if that's 4K. It's going to look bad. If you have great lighting in a 1080 versus bad lighting in a 4K video, the 1080 is going to work better. All things being the same, good lighting, yes, the higher the resolution and the higher the frame rate, the better the AI results will be. I usually do 1080, 60 if I can. If I use VR chat, do I need to pay attention to anything else? So we did release a VR chat kind of add-on recently. So now you can stream out Rokoko data to VR chat. We have a tutorial on YouTube. So I think you'll need a Plus subscription though. Any live streaming, you need to do Plus subscription. Does the Coil Pro improve just body awareness on the Smartsuit, or is there any improvement on the leg and foot placement? So Mika, this is a great question. This is from Mika Parker. The foot placement is still being handled by the suit for now. So the suit is going to handle foot placement. So it's not going to fix foot contact, things like that. What it will fix is global drift. So your entire body won't be moving around in space, but it's not going to fix your foot contacts. Those are still going to be driven by the suit. So yes and no. It's going to fix global drift, but not specific foot contact drift, if that makes sense. Lee Albright, my creature has 3 fingers per hand. How will the Smartgloves work in this configuration? Works great. I do this sort of thing all the time. I just use these 3, right? And then in the retargeting process, I just ignore these 2. I still do my motions the same way, right? Still do everything the same way, but it only, if you can set up the retargeting, so it only picks up data from these 3. It's usually these 3 on a 3-fingered creature. BJ McKay, what's the cost of getting started with the facial tracking features? You're going to need a facial tracking add-on and a Plus subscription. Or check Rokoko.com. We have all that information on there. I probably misspeak on the pricing. Joey Loomis, EMF field with the coil, is it healthy for long-term use? Yes, that's been a super thing that we've been paying attention to. So yeah, I'm using it. And yes, there's regulations for EMF fields in all the countries. So we've had to go and make sure the coil fits in to those regulations. And those regulations are generally way lower than like any dangerous point, right? So yeah, it is safe. Would Mocap made with Rokoko work with Mocap from iClone? Work with? Yeah, you can. We have a tutorial about iClone and Rokoko Mocap on the site. I would go check it out. It's on youtube.com. Type in iClone Rokoko. Great retargeting tutorial. It actually works really well. Angie Rodriguez has a question about the VFX 15 code. I'm not sure how to answer that. I don't know. Jonathan, if you see that one. hop on that guy. What's the best way to fix the thumbs when recording to UE5? You should not record into Unreal. That would be my first thing. You don't want to have the only place that your mocap is in an Unreal project. You know, I think virtual production is like really sexy and amazing, but Rokoko is designed to work. It's great in real time, right? I'm doing it in real time. But if you want a AAA result, you need to record your mocap in Rokoko Studio because it's doing a lot of processing on the back end again, you know, with those foot contacts on processed clips. So, and then beyond that, if you want to fix thumbs for MetaHumans or something when you're using mocap in Unreal, it just comes down to fixing the initial pose of those thumbs to adjust for any weirdness you're seeing. And again, we have these amazing, very in-depth tutorials coming out for Unreal very, very shortly. Okay, we got one over here. How can I mocap a character for changing altitude from Mateha? So this is a question about elevation tracking. So we added elevation tracking in the new Rokoko Studio. Here, let's do it. I'm gonna do it. Okay, let's get this guy off. Got my beanie back on. And I'm gonna actually stop live link here. It's had enough of this. Let's stop that guy. And let's go back to Rokoko Studio and let's do an elevation tracking. So I need to remove the face capture. There we go. You can see it'll kind of bugger off there. Yep, disappeared. Okay, let's do elevation tracking. So ugh. You can see I got my little stair there. So you can use elevation tracking and the elevation tracking filter to do elevation tracking. What elevation tracking is it's just the ability to like go up and down stairs. If I do it without elevation tracking turned on, and it's also something that should be used like in post. You can turn it on in real time for live, but again, Rokoko is really, we shine on recorded clips. Live streaming is like a niche thing. So you're always trying to record clips and work with those. That's the way to get the best results from your Rokoko. I'm going to do another calibration pose. And elevation tracking, which you can find up right here. Elevation tracking, you can see it's turned off. Let's see what happens when I try and step on this thing. It's going to shove my character to the ground. Because it's essentially saying, okay, that's the new ground, right? Now, if we turn on, now I'm going to do another recording, and I'm not going to do it live because I don't like to do it live because you won't get super solid results. It's really for recorded clips. Let's record something. Bada boom, bada bing. You'd say going up and down stairs or something, you know, would be the same kind of vibe. And here we go. Let's play it back. No elevation tracking turned on. Nothing happens. Let's go down here and let me move my, got to go down to this little wand here. So let me move my screen up a little bit more. Turn on elevation tracking. Put the step height up to 20 inches. Yeah, it's a big step. So, and then it works the same way that our foot contacts work, right? You can see if I were to change, my foot lands right here. So I should drag this guy out. Looks better. Same thing here. Okay, this is when I'm coming down, and it's thinking, hey, oh, my foot's on a surface, but I'm going below the surface there, right? So let's get rid of this clip. And we drop down. So that's how you use elevation tracking. So great and easy to use. It actually doesn't come up a lot for me, but you can totally use it to do stairs and stuff, and look at that. Looking good. Let's go back to my live feedback here. And I think we're gonna call it pretty soon, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. We're coming up on an hour and a half. Excuse me. Andrew McDonald, you missed the first 10 minutes. It looks like you're supporting facial animation. Yeah. Can you capture body, hand, and facial animation in one clip? Yeah, we just totally can. But you can't then export it to MetaHumans as one clip. It's a weird thing. Andrew, we have a MetaHuman tutorial coming out either Friday or Monday, which is going to explain my whole workflow for that. So just check our YouTube next week and it'll have an explanation for how to do it. Can the facial motion capture software on the iPhone record your performance as video? Oh yeah, at the same time yeah, I just screen record the iPhone. So yeah, you can capture it as video too, but you just screen record the iPhone, right? But yeah, you can, because there's an overlay when you're using our app, but you can turn that off and then you just have video of the face that you could use. I saw a question earlier, I didn't put this in, but about Android and Android motion capture and facial motion capture and whether or not that's coming. It is actually coming. Did I not put that in here? I didn't. If you go to the facial motion capture part of our website on Rokoko.com, there's a pop-up at the bottom that talks about Android, and we are developing an Android solution. It's actually going to be another headset. It's going to be a head cam, it's going to be called, and it's going to have an integrated super lightweight camera here at the end. And that is going to be it's going to plug into your Android, and it's going to be, it should work. It's something we've been working on for a long time. Super tricky because unlike iPhones, Androids don't have true depth sensors, true depth cameras in them. And that means that it's just a lot harder to get facial motion capture. But we do have a solution that's coming in 2024. Can you show us from David, hand-to-hand or hand-to-face contact? Sure. And interdigitate my fingers. It's not going to work. It won't work. Won't work. Inertial motion capture. This is all inertial motion capture is going to eventually have this problem with drift over time. This is the problem the Coil solves. Similarly, if I'm, excuse me, if I'm touching my head, excuse me, I'm sorry. Got me all worked up, David. It's not going to be perfect. It's a limitation. It's a limitation of inertial motion capture. And it's something that you're going to need to fix. Even if it was perfect, again, you'd need to fix it depending on the character proportions that you're working with. So in my opinion, it's like a limitation I can live with. But yeah, no. Inertial mocap, one of the limitations. The Coil will fix that almost entirely. I noticed from Array, I noticed when you retarget, your retargeted character is automatically offset. I noticed you can move the character with the gizmo if you want to. What does it matter? It doesn't really matter. Let me do this. So yeah, it matters not. You can if you want. It's just give you some visual feedback. I can make it way bigger if I wanted. Make it tiny. It's not going to matter. And there is going to be also a difference. Remember, this character, it has different proportions to me. So my actor profile, that has my height in it. This character, their legs are not the same size as me. It looks similar here. So this character is pretty close. But if I had longer legs, the feet would be drifting, or they would look like they were drifting because they would be like longer. It's the same motion just applied to different sized joints. And that means you're going to get inaccuracies. And that's why mocap editing is such a thing, and why we have so many tutorials on our YouTube channel about doing mocap retargeting, doing editing, including in Unreal. We have an amazing Unreal retargeting and editing tutorial. CR, I misunderstood a non-iPhone app. Yeah, so no, we will, any non-iPhone app that we have an Android one coming, but you won't be able to plug in any like camera into Rokoko Studio. I don't think. So I don't know if that answers your question. How do we take advantage of the $750 sale from Andreas? VFX 15 on checkout in the discount, in the coupon code section. Use that. Or 15% off the rest of the store. From Gustav, using the animation blueprint you guys are going to release for MetaHumans, will we be able to record the action of the live stream directly into Unreal? Yeah, you can. You just use Take Recorder. Let's do it right now. But we don't recommend it. Again, because you're not getting... If you do a recording in here, you get all the foot contact cleanup filters that are being applied. If we go in here, let's do it. We can record something. Let's activate again. I gotta make her hidden. Let's go. Virtual production, live link. Add in Rokoko again. Actually, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this in real time without face capture. Yeah. But you can. You just use the Take Recorder. We have the tutorial coming out next week. Or sooner, hopefully. How about how to do all that? Unreal MetaHumans, do they have a finger problem? No, they don't. They have a problem where they might not be set up initially. This is from anonymous attendee. They might be initially set up incorrectly, but you just have to change the reference pose or the rest pose of your MetaHuman. Again, we got a tutorial coming out next week about all this stuff. Okay, I think we're gonna do one more, and then we're gonna call it. Okay, let's find a good one. And sorry, there's so many questions, we just can't get to all of them. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to find one that's like a good one. I don't know. It does work with Unreal Fortnite. It will. Sam Dennison, can you credit Rokoko? Definitely credit us. That's always fun. Tyler, sure. I'll answer yours. I teach this is from Tyler. I teach a VR coding and Blender course at NSU here in Oklahoma. Would this tech be something that could change the industry for casual consumers? I would love to do some research on these. Yes, I think it can. That's the whole goal with what we're trying to do. At this point, we are now the cheapest suit. And a lot of people, we say cheap and we say easy. These are words that I use a lot. We have very easy workflows. They're very cheap. It's very cheap suits. Now, somebody who's looking at a suit that's $2,500 probably doesn't think that's cheap. That's a lot of money. And it's totally, valid. But relative to all the other solutions, it is cheap. And the workflows relative to all the other solutions are super easy. And so CG, I think there's kind of sometimes people can get into motion capture and forget that mocap is CG. Mocap is VR. You do VR coding in Blender. Is anything easy about that ever? No. It is complicated. CG is complicated. There's always edge cases, and your situation is always going to be slightly different than the tutorial you're watching. But in general, I do really think that our suit is so much more accessible to use. It's so much cheaper than the other options out there. It's so much more reliable. The fact that I don't need a studio, that I can do it in my bedroom, that I can, if I spill something on the textile, I can buy a new separate textile. That if I'm teaching and I have students, I can have different sized textiles for the same set of sensors that I could put in to give to students. And so, yeah, I think, I do believe in the democratizing motion capture, technobabble that we say, but it's true. The whole goal is to make it as cheap and easy as possible for an indie creator, because that's who we see taking over the industry, right? That's who's creating the most interesting works. That's the people who are able to test out these new workflows. We have clients who are big studios and they'll buy some suits for previs or something, but they're locked into their workflows generally. AAA studios, they got Maya workflows from 2013 they have to stick with because there's so much money invested in them. And indie creators, we have so many free softwares now. We have so many solutions and tutorials and things, we're trying to be a part of that community, right? We're trying to be a part of this jury-rigged, hacky community that is figuring things out for themselves and making it work and creating this, the Ian Huberts of the world, the Clints, we are trying to make it change for the casual consumer, and that's who we target, and that's who we try to solve problems for. Okay, and then the last question we'll answer is, do I use a dedicated router? Yes, always use a dedicated Wi-Fi router. Also, for, I forgot your name, the VR thing, we have a 20% academic discount. So there's actually an academic discount as well for universities. So trying to make it as easy as possible for students or for teachers who are arguing with the budgeting boards to try and get money. We have a 20% discount if you're an educator. I don't think for students, but I think for educators. Maybe Jonathan can correct me on that. Okay. Oh, for students too. Students as well, 20% discount for students. Making it easier than ever. Okay, I think we're gonna call it there. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your questions, but if you have more questions, come to our live streams on YouTube every Thursday at 11 a.m. PST. I'm there live. There's a live chat. We answer questions. We try and solve problems. You see a very raw look at the tools because things go wrong all the time. And again, that's CG, but it's nice to see it all in kind of a more honest way than, just pre-recorded videos. I'm always out there making mocap in real time with the chat. And so please join us on Thursdays at 11 a.m. PST. Again, VFX 15 for that discount code for everyone who came to the webinar. Hashtag made with Rokoko for anything you create. Keep an eye peeled for our user. We're going to do a user contest. We're going to do just a contest, a community contest. You don't need to own any Rokoko equipment to participate. And we're going to have crazy prizes, super fun judges, and that's going to be coming out. I think we're going to announce it in January. But in general, we're always doing things like this. Give us a follow on Instagram if you want to know about when they happen. If you want to, next time you're not ready to buy, but next time there's a discount, you want to know, check out our channels and you can find out there. Last question from Robbie Ferguson. Does your beard impact facial motion capture in negative ways? Yes, beards do. My beard does. It's better if you're clean shaven. Unfortunate. So I'm actually going to shave this thing off pretty soon. Okay. I'm going to go have some tea. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. This is going to be available offline on our YouTube channel. You should be getting a link to it if you missed anything. Yeah, with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you, chat. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Super fun. Okay. See y'all.